From a sparkling insect now to an animal that attains cult status across much of the UK. I'm talking about the brown hare. And actually, we've got a live picture of a brown hare right this minute. It's in the field next to us. This can't be any more than about 100 metres away. There are two brown hares out there. Now, this is typical of them to become more active at this time of day. They like the evening time, they like the early morning. But I've got to say that since I've been here at Wild Ken Hill, I've seen more hares than I've probably seen in the last year. There are a superabundance of these animals here, and we're getting cracking views of them. They are absolutely superb. Look at that, live brown hare. Can't beat it.
We're so lucky to get them because you're in the field, you know they're there, but you don't see them until they pop their little ears up and start bounding away.
Look, and for once, it's coming closer and closer rather than disappearing into the distance.
You know the mistake we made, Chris? We walked through the field and our camera operator is sitting still watching them.
Fantastic stuff.
I think we have to agree that they are adorable, but they can also be pretty feisty. Brown hares are known for their boxing matches, and this is something you see in particular at this time of the year, at the beginning of the mating season in March. You've heard mad as a March hare, well that's where the saying comes from. And you may think it's male on male fighting for the rights to mate for the female, but it's not. It's actually the ladies, the Jills, fighting off the males, the jacks. And they're fighting them off if they're not ready to mate yet, if the male is being a little bit too eager. I think that's a pretty cool avoidance tactic myself. When you've got a male with his amorous eagerness, you just give him a bit of a right hook, bit of a body blow, bob and weave about. They're very athletic. I mean, just look at them. They are jumping up, they're giving a good punch. It's an amazing thing to see, isn't it, when they do that?
It is an amazing thing to do, but it is part of a mating ritual. That female is testing those males, and somehow or other she's testing their diligence. How long do they chase her for? How many days are they after her? Or maybe she tests their strength when she's got them up and she's boxing them. But eventually they make a decision. They do choose a male, and we've been fortunate to witness mating in the last few days. And again, it's not something that I've ever seen, not because it's difficult to see. It happens in the open, as you can see here, but simply because I don't live in a part of the country where there are many of these animals left. So the males mate with them, and we know that the females only ovulate once they've started copulating, and then during the course of the year they'll give birth to several litters. But what of that? Great bit of basic biological behaviour being demonstrated by one of Britain's most popular mammals.
And 40 days after the mating, you get this. You get little babies, leverets. And come on, Chris, look at those faces. You've got people on their sofas all over Britain going, oh, look at them. They are very adorable. They're about 2 to 4 in the litter. They're born fully furred with their eyes open, and they're left on their own by the mother throughout the day. She comes back to feed them at sunset, but that's the only involvement that she has with her young. And that seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But the whole reason is she doesn't want to attract attention of a predator to those young, because when they're that small, they are extremely vulnerable. But it does make the point that if you do, when you're walking through a field, come across a leveret on its own in the daytime, don't pick it up, because the mother has left it there on purpose. She will usually come back to feed it at night, so leave it well alone.
And I mentioned there's a superabundance of hares here at Wild Ken Hill. That's down to the way that they manage this landscape. The less intensive agriculture suits them. There's plenty of food throughout the course of the year as well, of course. I also mentioned they've got sort of cult status, and this is because in our folklore, going way, way back thousands of years, the hare has many different relationships to the humans. People thought that witches could transform themselves into hares. At one point, allegedly, a hare threw itself into a fire to appease Buddha, who then sent the hare to the moon, which was apparently a nice thing for a hare to have. But more locally here, there are stories that revolve around Boudica, the Iceni queen who defeated the Romans, and it's said that she predicted the course of her battle by throwing a hare's entrails on the ground and reading them like tea leaves. Oh. And then another story that when she was riding into battle, she withdrew a hare from inside her armour, threw it onto the ground, and its speed as it ran through the advancing Roman army inspired her own troops to beat them.
Well, interesting you mentioned speed, actually, because they're record holders. They are the fastest land mammal in the UK. I wanted to test this out, Chris. So you know one of those speed guns that you get? You see the police, the traffic police pointing at your car when you've maybe got your foot on the accelerator.
Not me.
Of course not. Not me either. Well, I took one of these out to see if I could capture the speed of a hare. I did finally get one. It's really difficult because, you know, the beam doesn't go very far and they obviously are quite sort of fast.
Yeah, well,
but I did eventually. 25 miles an hour I caught one running at, which is, for a hare, that's just a stroll. Because look at this speed. They can go up to speeds of 45 miles an hour. I mean, that is fast. Think about the fastest runner in the world, Usain Bolt. What does he do?
27, 28 miles an hour.
Double the speed. There you go. We ought to put that hare in the Olympics. He'd get the gold.